This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today, we're going to be going into New York, but not just any part of New York. We're going to be floating our way through the different skyscrapers and areas inside of Manhattan. This is a reprint of a game that won the Spiel Des Jahres in 1994, and it's finally being reprinted. It's for 2 to 4 players. It's a hand management, card playing, area control game. So let me show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. In Manhattan, you're going to be placing skyscrapers in 6 different areas in Manhattan and trying to do some area control scoring. At the beginning of the game, everyone's going to pick a person, which also is a color scheme, which will tell you which color buildings you'll be getting at the beginning of the game. You actually have a ton of these buildings to choose from. Now the game is played over multiple rounds depending on the amount of players that are playing, and at the beginning of each round, each player is going to select a specific amount of buildings depending on the amount of players there are in the game, and there are level 1, 2, 3, and 4 skyscrapers. Now, how and when to pick those is a big part of the strategy, and you actually have cards in your hand before you select, which can help you with your selection. Now, these cards that you have, you always have 4 of them in your hand, and they go differently on the board depending on what your orientation is. For example, if we were on this side of the board facing this way, when I play this card, I could place a skyscraper in this quadrant of the board there. So I could put it here or in there. Same spot in the neighborhood, but I could put it on any neighborhood throughout there that's empty. So for example, I could go like this, I could place one of the buildings I placed. If I had used this card, I could place it here, or any other neighborhood that's on the board. I'm just showing you these two. This one would go in this location, this one would go in this location. However, if the player that had this card was sitting on to the right of me, this card no longer is this, it's actually going to be this. So depending on your orientation and which card you have, shows you where you could possibly place. Now, if I'm placing in a spot that the card allows me, let's say I played the card that allowed me to place it here. If it's empty, I could place any one of my buildings there. However, if another player was already there, this shows it's 2 floors. 1, 2. It might be hard to see here, but you can see 2 levels. You have to be able to play so that the total number of stories in your buildings in this spot are at least as many as the one who currently has the lead. So this one had 2, and I put a 1, 2, 3, 4 there, so that's okay. Now let's say the player here played a 4 level, then a 1 level, because you can build on top of your own. And let's say I came on here with a 4, because it's at least as many stories as the person who owned it previously. They had 4, and I have 4 with just that 1 move. So now I own that skyscraper. And after you played that card, you simply draw another one in your hand. It's the next player's turn, and this continues until all players have placed all buildings for that round. At the end of the round, you're going to score. The tallest building in the entire board will get 3 points. If this was the tallest building, orange would get 3 points. Then for each of the little boroughs there, you're going to get 2 points if you have the most. So let's see, orange has 1, yellow has 1, purple has 2. Purple would get 2 points for sort of owning that district. However, if there's a tie, yellow and purple both have 2, then nobody would get that 2 points. And then you get 1 point for each of the buildings that you own. So orange would get 1, purple would get 2, and yellow would get 1. You do that for each of the boroughs that are on the board. Then you go through another round, selecting a specific amount of buildings and placing them. Again, it depends on the amount of players. For 2, 3, and 4, each of them are played a little bit differently. But you keep doing this for the certain amount of rounds, depending on the amount of players. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. And here's the wonderful art in this version. It looks a lot better than the older 1990s version that I have. All right, well, there is Manhattan. Well, the game is very colorful and aesthetically pleasing. It's just beautiful what they've done with these new colors, the different color choices that they made, the way that the board looks. Now, I actually own one of the older versions of this game because I played it over a friend's house, and I was so enamored by how awesome this game was, but you couldn't find it anywhere. So sadly to tell you that I badly overpaid for a copy maybe 3 years ago, and I love the game, but man, does this new game bring such a fresh, new, modern look to it. I'm definitely going to be keeping this one instead of the old one, spoiler. But yeah, it's very colorful, it just looks nice. This game has such streamlined mechanisms, and I love it. You're literally just playing a card, putting a piece, drawing a card. That's it. but there's really more going on. You're selecting which skyscrapers at the beginning of the round. You're trying to decide, you're somewhat limited to where you can play because of the cards, so you're trying to figure out what's the best place to go for right now, thinking of both now and end game points. So I love that it's super streamlined, and it does have good depth. So it's not as simple as it seems. I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, you could easily just play this game like, let me just pick 6 pieces, put it in front of me. I'll play a card, go here, play a card, go here. And you could play it on a very simple level, which is what I love, because I can play this with my wife. But I could also play this with my gamer group, who's very competitive, especially in area control. We're knocking each other in the face, because it could be very thinky. You could watch what people are grabbing, and you could, based upon that, grab specific pieces, and then deciding when to play certain things. So it does have more depth. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not some advanced strategy game, but there's more depth than first appears when you first play the game, and you could play this game at different levels is the main point that I'm getting to. I like that you're fighting for different goals, right? So you're like, do I want to go for that tallest skyscraper? It's worth 3 points, which is a lot of points, but everyone's going to be fighting for it. And how much work do I want to put into that? Because if I'm fighting for that, I'm not fighting for other things, right? Or do I want to go for that? Do I want to just like hover in 1 or 2 of the areas and really just try to control those areas and not even worry about the other things? The cards might let you do that. You just might not have the right cards to do that, but you're trying to decide that. And then you're trying to figure, okay, let me just put a bunch of small ones out towards the end, hope nobody caps on top of me, because you get a point for each of those. So I like that there's different ways to score in the game, and a lot of those have to do with the different types of pieces that you have as well. So I think this game has an excellent mix of luck and strategy. Luck, because you're drawing cards, and you're only having 4 options of where to place these. And another thing is, I like how, depending on where you're sitting at the board, those cards will place it in a different spot. So I like that, because that makes it harder to card count, because you can't think there and go, there's only 1 more of those cards left, because then you got to think, well, that card means a different spot for everybody. So I like how they did that. But it is a good mix of strategy and luck. Good things to think about, but yet you are tethered to that hand. So it's a great family level game. Anything I don't like about it? Well, it is a family game, but it can be pretty mean. I mean, you are a lot of times stacking on top of people's skyscrapers, making sure they don't get the points. And so it is, by nature, area control is a pretty, it's a competitive game where you're right in people's face trying to, take them over. So this game might be a little too mean for some families. If in your experience, when people do things that really hurt other players, if that doesn't go over well in your family, this probably is not the game for you. However, again, you can sort of play it a little nicer if everyone wants to play that way and still have a fun time, but it really shines when you're really being mean to each other. The towers. Now, the towers actually have numbers on the top of them in this version, which I think they're just numbered. But they didn't seem to have anything to do with the actual how big the thing was. What I was hoping was when they redid this, because it was always hard in the original, sometimes it takes a while to count the stories, and it's not that easy. And it's not that easy here either. It's not, I would say it's not any easier. I was hoping that they would have put like a little number on the bottom on each of the sides of the towers. So when you're looking at it from afar, you just be like, okay, they're at 3, I'm at 2, I need a 1 at least to get up there. So I really just wish they had put little numbers on the side of the towers to make it easier to see. Again, I'm not sure what those numbers on the top do, but I wish it would have been easier to tell how many total towers are there, because sometimes these get pretty tall. Also, I thought this would have been a great chance to possibly make the board a little bigger, add some other areas, and then, open it up to 5 or 6 players, because 2 players I don't really enjoy in this game. You both use 2 different colors and you're trying to combat each other. But again, area control is never that interesting with 2 players. 3 players is fine. The game shines best at 4. But I was just wishing that they would maybe put 2 extra boroughs or balance it out so there's the right amount of extra areas and allow 5 or 6 players. But when you're playing with less, you only play with a certain amount. I thought this would have been a good opportunity to do that. Of course, it would have meant more components, which would have meant the price was going up, which would have meant maybe it didn't hit the target market they were looking for. So I understand why they possibly didn't do it, but man, I would have wished they added extra optional areas to play with 5 or 6 players with new colors. I think they missed an opportunity here, but overall, love this game. This version's awesome. I am kicking my old version out. I'm keeping this new version because of how colorful it is. If you like family level games and you don't mind a little meanness, this is one of the best. This game was in 1994 and it still holds its own with any other family lighter weight area control game that I've ever played. And that's why I'm keeping it in my gaming library, and it's getting a saxophone serenade.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.